Hey, this is Justin with daytradethemarkets.com. And I think if you're struggling with your trading or frankly struggling with any change that you're trying to make in any part of your life, whether that's losing weight or anything like that, I think you'll find this interesting. I came across this graph the other day. I was speaking to a friend of mine about goals and change in general, and he showed me this graph. It's from a couple of psychologists named Kelly and Connor. It's called the Kelly Connor um, Emotional Cycles of Change concept, okay? And we were talking about it, and obviously one of the first thoughts I had was how this is so relevant to traders. So I thought what I would do is just talk about this concept and talk about how it applies specifically to traders, but you could apply this to any area of your life, I think. So the first stage here that we want to talk about, and just to make sense of this graph, this side here is your emotional state. So you've got optimism on the top half and pessimism on the bottom, and down here is time. And so the first stage is what they call phase one or uninformed optimism. Okay, now this is when things are very exciting. You're optimistic. You see all the benefits, but you haven't really experienced any of the costs yet. And so for a trader, it might look like the idea that you want to be a trader, you want freedom from your job, or you want to be be your own boss or make a lot of money. And so a lot of times traders will start doing the math and say, well, if I can get in and 5 minutes later I get out and I make this much money, then I can just add two more contracts and five contracts and 10 contracts and look how much money I'll be making. And every day will be that easy. And it just, it's all this optimism. We've probably all done those back of napkins, you know, mathematics, if you will. It looks, maybe you found a new indicator that looks really promising, or maybe you found some new guru who's got a new trade room that sounds amazing. Whatever the case may be, okay? That's the uninformed optimism. Now, the next step or next stage is what we call phase two or informed optimism. And this is a period of time where you realize pretty quickly that the first stage, this trading thing's not quite as easy as I thought or hoped. Okay, you quickly learn that it's going to take a little bit more time, effort, emotional, cost than you thought. You quickly learn that there's not just these great benefits; there are also these costs. And so, again, in trading, that might look like you found this indicator. It works in certain market conditions, but not in others. Or you learn pretty quickly not all trades make money. Even really good trades, even when you did everything quote right, you still didn't make money. Or maybe you find that taking a loss is a lot more painful emotionally than you thought it would be. Or you might find that holding on to a trade, and sitting through it a little bit is a little bit more emotionally taxing than you thought. Or you find that, hey, I thought the trading was just buy on green and sell on red, and I'm rich by next Tuesday. It's not quite that easy, is it? It didn't. You find that making X dollars a day is not quite as easy as it looked on the back of the napkin. Like I was saying, it's some days the market's a little harder to make money in than others. Other days it's easier, but it's not like a day by day easy thing. There can be a million other things that you determine, but basically the idea is that in this second stage, you start to, on some level, question if this goal, if this change in your life, if this idea of being a successful trader is really that important. Is it really worth what it's becoming clear it's going to require to do this? And so what happens is this third stage is actually, they call it the valley of despair. This is kind of the tipping point, okay? And this is where you basically feel all of the pain, all of the costs, and all of the optimism you had before, all of those benefits that you were looking for seem so far away. They probably seem less important because you're in pain to some degree. And so, again, in trading, you kind of would have a couple of options in this case. A lot of people, they just quit. They're out the door. They determine that this is, not trading's not for them, and that's fine. Trading is not for everyone, and you have to have a certain mentality to make it work. Other people, and it's probably more likely if you're still watching this video, you're still trying to be a trader. Most likely it looks like you basically just go back to stage one, and you hop to the next indicator, you hop to the next hot thing, you hop to the next hope, and you do some back testing, and it looks good, or you do whatever it might be, and you're back to, oh, I've got it figured out again. I've got it figured out. Pretty soon, almost invariably, you're back down here to phase two. Oh, it's not quite as easy as I thought I could just buy every time the oscillator crossed over, and then the whatever. You get my point if you've done this before. And a lot of people I've talked to, I did this myself, I would say 10 times. A lot of people I've talked to have done it more than that, and they've spent thousands of dollars just repeating this process. Oh, I'll look for the next Holy Grail indicator. Oh, didn't quite work. I'll wait for the next Holy Grail indicator. Oh, didn't quite work. And it's that process that's a lot of pain, okay? And so, in trading, how do we get, hopefully this graph makes sense, but how do we get from this valley of despair where we either quit, we're out the door, or we're back up to stage one? How do we get through this? How do we push through to success? How do we get to the point where we are, you know, making a living at trading? How do we get to the point where we are successful? How do we get to the, maybe whatever your goal is in trading? How do you get to that point? And the way I think of it is that there are really two parts to it. One is more of an emotional component, where to me, you've got to come to terms with the fact that trading is not as easy as some people would tell you it is. Okay. But that's okay. If it was that easy, then anyone could do it. And if anyone could do it, there's no longer opportunity. So come to terms with that. Let it be okay that this is not going to be as easy as maybe you thought it would be at the beginning. Okay. Next, you're emotionally on that level. Your why, your passion for making this happen, the reason you wanted to, do this in the first place has to be greater than the costs that you're going to have to overcome. And we've all, I think we can all relate to this on some level. It might not yet have been in trading, but certainly you've had some degree of success in your life, whether it was losing weight at a time or when you were playing sports as a kid or whatever it could be, if you wanted to play or whatever it was. We've all had to push through, and we can probably remember that moment where we decided we're going to do whatever it took to accomplish this goal, and we pushed through. There's an emotional component where you just decide this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to push through, and there's nothing that's going to stop me. That's the kind of the emotional component that I think is required. I've experienced that myself. I've experienced that with a lot of people that I've worked with. That's required, and it's just that's part of it. Now, the second part, I would say more from a strategy standpoint, is you have to stop doing that indicator hop. You have to stop looking for that holy grail, gonna fix it all solution, and realize that's not the way that trading works. You don't have to be perfect as a trader. You simply have to understand the market. You have to find a methodology that makes sense for you. And when you find that methodology, dig in. Do not quit. If this is something that you want, you've got to put in the time and the effort, and you've got to go through a little bit of pain, and you're going to have to just dig in and really grind it out and make it work. It doesn't have to take forever. That's not what I'm saying, but you're going to have to push through a difficult day. You're going to have to push through a day where you feel like things don't make sense. You're going to have to work with that. There's a lot of people out there that provide good education. I think there's a lot of crap out there, obviously, but I think that, maybe it's 80-20 crap to quality, but I think there are 20% of people out there that are doing this are genuinely good people that have a good method that want to help. And you've got to find that method that works for you. Certainly, I think I'm in that category, but other people, might not be the perfect fit for them. Everyone's a little bit different. Find something that makes sense for you and then dig in. Get some help. Find something that's, just don't go on this holy grail search. Don't go on this, switching every 2 months to the next, hot thing that you find, this next indicator. That's not where you're going to find success. You're going to find success by really understanding your plan, understanding how the market works, understanding how you need to react in certain situations. That is something that you can accomplish. It just, you've got to kind of fight through that indicator hopping idea. So hopefully that helps. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm happy to talk about it, even if you're not a client or even if you're not a someone that has any desire to be a client. I'm happy to help. So let me know any thoughts you might have, and we will talk soon. Thanks again.